Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, my boy Ziggy Man. Well, hey, listen, I feel like I haven't said that intro. And when's the last time we really did a show, man? I feel
Yeah,
like we
it's
haven't
been a
done.
minute, man. It's been a minute. You know, we've
Listen,
done other shows. We've even done interviews and everything else. We've even done a show to promote this show,
wow,
but we
wow.
haven't done this show.
We have not done this show, man. And listen, let's you know what? Let's tell the audience what's been happening with us. We have some exciting news, and we may even talk about this on one of our prior awkward situations. But to say that we got some things cooking in the pot, if you will, and so we do have some exciting news. Um, we had the opportunity to be interviewed on one of my friends that I know, colleagues, to be interviewed on his program, right? And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell. This is just because it's awkward situation. I'm gonna tell you, audience. It was. Let me tell you how awkward it was. They talked about me the entire program. I mean, the whole program. They listen. They were going in hard on me, and it was a good opportunity that we had, and so at the end of the show, we're going to promote his show. That's what we're going to do. At the end of the show, we're going to promote his show because we're going to promote it because we were on it, of course. But he has a good program. He stimulates your mind on a political level. I know he's gonna hate me for saying that because I always tell him the show is political, but on a political level. But we kind of scurried in there, right, Ziggy,
Yep,
and we
yep.
added a little laughter to an already great program that he has out there. And so we're gonna at the end we're gonna promote, let you know how you can find his program and check out our program on his program and support both programs, and we all gonna be on the program.
There
You
you
know what I
go.
mean?
That's the
So,
program.
yeah, yeah. So, but that was one exciting thing. But what the real exciting thing is, we have launched another program. I should be hearing some claps. I should be hearing all kind of jumping, all this stuff. We have launched a second program, but we didn't do it alone. We did it with the help of MEI, Making Education Intentional, our CEO, Dr. Ziggy. Now, and on the other show, he's Dr. Siegfried Howe. On this show, he's Ziggy, but for the moment, he's Dr. Ziggy. And so he's the CEO of MEI, and we've had the opportunity to start a new program called Relate to This. Listen, right now, we are on YouTube. Shows are coming out at approximately noon every Wednesday. So you want to jump on over. The best way to find us right now is to put in Relate to This. You can either put Relate to This Dr. Siegfried Howe or Relate to This Jay Tross, and you should come up on a page that says MEI on it and Relate to This. That's how you're going to find us right now on YouTube. But we want you to get there. We want you to subscribe. We want you to be a part of this. We want to
Hit the like notification button, all that good stuff.
all that good stuff. Ziggy, just for a moment, we got a couple minutes. Why don't you tell them exactly what we're doing on Relate to This?
All right, so check this out. I'm glad you gave me a chance to talk about this real fast. You know, this is my baby. So people have relationship problems all the time. And so what we're doing is we're attacking a lot of the major problems that people have in their relationships. And we're giving solutions, we're giving ideas, we're introducing concepts and ways of tackling your relationship so that you become better at dealing with your relationship, better at dealing with other people. Now, we start with the internal relationship, which is the relationship that you have with yourself, the voices that you hear in your head, and the way you talk to yourself, the way you relate to yourself, the self-esteem that you have inside. And then all of that affects the way you relate to other people, whether it's your intimate friend or the people around you. But for right now, we're dealing with you and your partner by first working through what you have to deal with. So if you have any type of problems, if you have any type of areas where you need a little bit of coaching or consulting, this is the spot for you. This is where we address a lot of the things that come up in relationships.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, because I wouldn't have did it as much justice as he just did. So I wanted to give him that stage, that moment to really talk, because as he mentioned, that's his baby, and we want to make sure that you get it right from the CEO, the one that's making a lot of this happen on the front end of this.
Now, if you give me a quick second, let me tell people why they want to tune in. I have messed up so much of my relationship that I can tell people what not to do. And, I've come out on the other side. I've been married for 31 plus years now, and I have done a lot of things poorly. And so based on what I've done wrong and based on my research, based on the books that I've written on relationships, I can tell you what I believe will work better. And I can also guide you on what not to do, because I have been there. I've done all the bad work for you. And so now I've come out on the other side, and I can share with you what works better than what I did.
In my head right now, I was thinking of a song. This is why I have him do it, because see, my song I was thinking in my head was "Two wrongs don't make it right," but two wrong was the night. See, he's a serious one, and see, I got to add a little laughter into that. But no, he's right. What better one of better people to give you some great information, some great tips, some great motivation than someone who's been on that line. So we thank Dr. Siegfried Howe, and really be honest with you, we're not promoting it right now, but we might as well. He has a bunch of books. Do you see all those books behind him? They're not all his, but he has written up a bunch of books. And so Dr. Siegfried Howe on Amazon, search the name. You should be able to come up on multiple books. Don't run off when you see the one book for science, and don't run off when you see the one book for doggies. Don't run off. You're gonna come up on some relationship books. You're gonna come up on a whole lot of things, and so check him out. Now we promoting him on all these different levels. Now let me promote me real quick. That's all I got. That's all I got. Listen. It's one day we're gonna be promoting my thousands of pages of items. I never said a book. I just said items.
All right.
Hey, listen. So tonight, this afternoon, this evening, we are prepared. But right before we get in, let's do some other housekeeping. We're on Spotify. We're on Google. We're on Spotify, Google, Amazon,
Anchor.
We're on a bunch of different places. And right now, just so we can make it clear and be transparent, we are live now, right now, at this very moment. We are live, as I just said, right now on YouTube. Awkward Situations is live on YouTube as we speak. Call somebody. So if you're catching this on the rebroadcast, call somebody. Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube, because we're live right now on YouTube as well. So we're trying to make we're chopping away at this, Ziggy, And everything that we're doing right now is working in our favor. Not only if it is working in our favor, it's working in the favor of those who need a little laughter,
Mhm.
those who need a little relationship tip, those who are tired of being tired, but they're so tired that they can't laugh. So we're trying to get into those households, and I think the more we're chopping down this tree
Yeah,
and
yeah,
planting some new seeds, if you will, we're gonna
yeah,
be all right.
yeah.
Hey, listen, tonight, awkward situation. So before the show started, audience, uh, Ziggy said to me, "Listen, we taking off the gloves tonight. We going awkward situations. Period. That's what that means. That means that. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. Got to
But
be
awkward situations unhinged.
unhinged, right? And I should have. I did a grammatical error there. So I should have awkward situations. Dot dot dot. Not just the period, because that stops it. We're gonna go dot 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 infinity
Okay,
and
there you go. Mhm.
beyond. And so we're just gonna do. We're gonna just do what's on our heart tonight, as it relates to awkward situation. We'll just come up with some different things that we've seen, we could have experienced, and we're just gonna go with the flow with this. And I'm gonna say this because I'm gonna get you started, Ziggy. I'm gonna get you started. I know you said you already got some in the kitty and it's ready to be launched, but I want you to go with me for a moment. I was in an office just recently, so this is an awkward situation in an office for this
Okay, all right,
situation.
okay.
And matter of fact, that's how I want you to start each of yours, okay? Because a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight probably falls into other awkward situations that we've done, but we have not done these particular ones. So we're going to classify where they fall into. Is that all right with you?
Okay, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So this is an awkward situation in the office. So I was standing in a particular office just a couple days ago, and I was, asked if I, wanted some pizza or whatever. And so I said, I said I don't eat pepperoni. That's what I said. I said I don't eat pepperoni. I said, I just kind of just do cheese. So then somebody said, oh well, he's one of those people. And so then somebody's like, so they didn't kind of catch what he said. So they said, oh, so you just eat the cheese off the top of the pizza, right? And so I was like, nah, I eat cheese pizza, right? So then they said, well, we had some white pizza. Now everybody in the office was Caucasian, right? So 2 minutes prior to that, I had mentioned that I do a show called Awkward Situations, and then I told them after what they said, I said, "Oh, this definitely got to be on one of my shows. This definitely, how awkward is this situation?" But I thought it was funny. They thought it was funny, but at the same time, it's like one guy's like, "Oh, well, that was kind of came out kind of wrong." So yeah, man. So awkward situations, offers. What you got to start us out with, sir?
Oh man, I was writing down another one that came to my head. Okay, so check this out. I left Barbados and I went to England when I was 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the awkward thing about England is this: they do, when I was there, everything they did was with knife and fork, so they don't touch their food at all. And so I remember the first time I had to cut open a roll and butter the roll with a knife and fork, and then I remember how I had to cut the roll up into different pieces so I can eat it because they don't touch their food. So my parents didn't used to cook a lot of meat. Matter of fact, I don't remember them cooking any meat at all when I was in England. So about 6 months in, 10 years old, about 6 months in, we went to this person's house and they had chicken. Oh man, I went crazy. But these people gave me a wing. Now, if you know anything about a wing, it's hard to cut a wing with a knife and fork.
Right.
So I'm 10 years old and this wing is just sliding all over the plate and I cannot get any meat off of this wing and I'm salivating like crazy. So I said something funny. Everybody started laughing. I grabbed the wing from off the plate and stuck it in my pocket and I said, "Can I go to the bathroom, please?" So then I get up and I go to the bathroom and I'm tearing that wing up, man. I ate the wing in the bathroom because I could not get the meat off of that wing. But that's not the awkward situation.
Uh-huh.
The awkward situation was at the end of the meal, I was sitting down and they offered me some, it was kind of like some custard with some kind of cake stuff under it. So it was cream in color. So the lady that was serving, the lady host of the house, the hostess, she was talking while eating because she was still eating her main meal. So as she was talking, she was serving people, and a piece of rice came out of her mouth and landed in my custard. And so I was like, well, I'm going to eat around that rice, right? So as I started to eat, and I'm keeping track of where that rice is, and I'm starting to eat, she distracts me and started asking me what I like and all that stuff. And by the time I caught myself and I looked back down, the rice granule was gone.
Oh no.
So
I'm throwing up thinking about it.
On that one right there. So I'm trying not to throw up from that, and I'm trying to just keep myself calm. And she was like, "Your mood changed suddenly." She was like, "Your mood just changed. What happened?" And I was like, "Nothing."
She knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what she was doing.
That was crazy. Man.
In that same vein, since you're talking about food, I was at a wedding. And this is actually recent. I was at a recent wedding.
Oh, so they're going to know if they ever listen to this.
I don't think they will.
Oh, okay.
But I was at a wedding, and I was asked to, you never know, I was asked to kind of lead the kitchen staff, meaning, just kind of, manage it, didn't have to cook anything, just manage the kitchen and make sure all the food is out, different things of that nature. They had a full staff there too. So this particular wedding, individuals who definitely could cook, let's get that out of the way, right, were asked to bring food. Okay. So you had like 3-4 trays of everything. So plenty of food to go around. So, and for all intents and purposes, I assume that the same person made that particular item. So if somebody brought rice and beans, they made 3 trays of rice and beans. Somebody brought macaroni, you see I'm going in this conversation. So one particular item was not all made by one person. Okay. The mashed potatoes. Okay. So mashed potatoes came in, somebody brought 2, and then somebody bought 1, right? I just assumed they were all the same until I opened it up and realized, no, this looks a little different than, this one here, which is cool. Hey, everybody could cook, like I said, right? So I put the first pan that came in, I made sure that one was put out, right? So this young lady comes over to me and she says, hey, my mom asked me to ask you if you tasted the mashed potatoes. So I kind of looked at it like, nah, it ain't that kind of kitchen. You know what I mean? This ain't like, this ain't no world famous kitchen where the chef is, tasting everything, make sure it's all, whatever. I was like, nah, but I said, I'm sure it's good. She's like, okay, well, okay. So then she comes back and she was like, well, my mom said she really wanted somebody to taste it, da, da, da. So I said, you know what? You're welcome to taste it. We'll get a spoon and, whatever, right? So get her a spoon. And so she goes on the side and so she tastes it, right? So she gives me this look, like this disgruntled look, right? And she was like, that ain't my mama's. That ain't my mama's mashed potatoes. So I said, yes, it is. Now, I'm not thinking at that moment that, the two were taken, different. And I was like, nah. That is definitely your mama's mashed potatoes. She said, that is not my mashed. I said, well, you know what? Let's go in the kitchen because I got another one in the kitchen. So she opens it up and looks at it. She said, now that's my mama's. So I was like, well, how does the other one taste? Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Listen, sir, I was like, oh my gosh, how do I had to keep it out there because they had already started serving it, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it was so awkward to, like, yeah, it was an awkward situation at that point.
Well, listen, moving along, let me tell you about an awkward situation that I came across. My sister, when she was a young teenager, I was about 7, my sister was about 12. And my mother used to get her on Sundays to clean the screen door. And, well, you know the sliding door, right? That led outside. So anyway, my sister will always leave streaks when she cleaned it. So one day my mother said to her this one Sunday, listen, I need for you to clean this glass so clean that I don't even know it's there. So that's what she did. And a few hours later, somebody pulled up at the house and blew the horn, and my mother ran out of the house, or so she thought, and ran right into the glass door and almost broke her nose. And I can tell this story because my mom has told this story over and over again about how clean that glass was. It was so clean that you could not even see that the door was open. And so the awkward situation is the person outside saw my mother run right into the glass door and almost fall backwards. So
I,
that was the awkward situation at that particular house.
I've seen that happen before.
I've
I've
seen it on
seen
TV.
I've seen it in live and in living color.
Mm.
Somebody ran right into the glass, and it wasn't pretty. Because the thing is, your brain is locked on a speed. You're saying to yourself, I can get from point A to point B in this distance, this time. Nothing's in my way. I'm going. So when that glass is clean like that, and you don't see it, you're walking at a full pace. And when I'm talking about blood
Oh,
and
blood! Wow.
tears, nose right into it, because technically your nose gonna hit first,
Oh yeah, yeah. Unless you have one of them big foreheads.
right?
Awkward.
We love people with big foreheads. Don't fall for the okie
Yeah,
doke.
yeah. Don't bother,
But
please.
but no, yeah. Man, that's crazy.
Hey, so at the same house, um, we live close to the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and we had field mice, and ever so often a mouse would come and run under the piano. So one day we were sitting down as a family watching a show, and my dad said, "Look, there's a mouse. Somebody grabbed the slipper." So my sister ran to get a slipper, but could not find a slipper. So she grabbed one of my dad's shoes. So he picked up the shoe and he held it by the top part. And so my mom and myself were tasked with lifting up one side of the piano while my sister swept it with the handle of the broom, and my dad stood poised, waiting to come down with the force of God onto the top of that mouse. Well, my mother braced herself and she put her foot out to kind of lift up the piano. And for some reason, when my sister slid the broom under, the mouse ran right by my mother's toe. And my dad came down with all the might of Moses and Jesus combined. And all we heard was a loud, God awful screech and scream as tears ran down my mother's face. And my dad had missed the mouse. He missed the mouse, but got her toe. And man, oh man, I barely got my foot out of the way in time. But I'm telling you, there was some crying that night, man, because the heel of the shoe came down on her big toe.
Listen,
He was not happy, but it was an awkward situation.
right, yeah. And you know what's funny? I'm talking more about your dad not getting the mouse. You know, I don't know how a mouse got in my house. You know, I got a field and all that kind of stuff. So I think somebody left the door open one time, right?
Mm.
And I don't even know how we even saw the mouse. And I think for all intents and purposes, mice want to be seen for whatever reason, at least one time, and then they disappear, right? So I hear all this screaming, talking about mouse, a mouse. I'm saying a mouse, huh? So anyway, I think I got this thing trapped. Like I think I got him. So then I got the vacuum, right?
You gonna vacuum him out?
I was gonna vacuum him up. It was a wrap. He was about to get vac. So then I moved the box, and he wasn't there. And I said, "Ain't this a Mickey Vicky?" The awkward situation was this. For the next 8 hours, I created a wall around the kitchen. And this one spot, I guess I didn't seal off, right? So he got out the kitchen. Now he's roaming around. So I guess he thought that he was going to be a mastermind. And he thought he was going to have another out. But the way that the kitchen's made is you're going to go in a circle to come back to the kitchen. So he went in a circle, came back, got caught back into the thing, right? So now he's back inside the wall. I put a trap at every corner of that little thing. The awkward situation for that sucker. I woke up in the morning. He was nicely laid out, ready to be taken to the streets.
Hey, let me tell you, the house four houses up from where we are now, we used to rent. We rented it for 2 years before we bought this house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it had a Bilco door, and on the other side of our development is a field. So every time around this year, the fall, when they cut the field, mice will go running into these neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And because we had Bilco doors, it will squeeze through the cracks and go down into the basement. And so the basement was semi-finished. And so I had a couch, TV, and everything down there. Well, what happened is that I saw a mouse while watching TV one night. So I set a mouse trap. Well, the next day, mouse trap was had a mouse in it. So my wife said, set another one. So I set another one for the next night. Another one. She was like, I think you need more traps. Mm-hmm. We set 8 mice traps.
And didn't even get them.
Down there. And we went to bed that night. And I already heard pat, 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 pat. Man, 6 of those mice traps went off within minutes of each other.
Wow.
And so we caught all of the mice, but it was weird because we had somebody who had come to stay at our house. Now they were upstairs.
Right.
Nonetheless, they heard they're like, hey, I don't know if I want to stay tonight. You got all them mice, you got all the mice in your house. But the awkward situation, 6 mice caught in one night.
Now that's crazy.
Yeah.
You must have did some. That's like going fishing and catching all the fish. It's unheard of.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But the worst thing that was unheard of, we had house guests, and this was at my first house. Mm-hmm. We had house guests, and my brother-in-law Calvin, he came up to me. He was like, "Oh, by the way, there's a snake in the bedroom." I'm like, "Man, why you always playing, man?" He was like, "Okay, yeah, but there's a snake in the bedroom." I was like, man, he was like, look, I just walked out of the bedroom, and in the corner of my eye, I saw one going into the next bedroom. Mm-hmm. I believe it went into that closet. So once again, like I said, we had house guests. And so I go and I grab a stick and I grab a bucket and I went hunting for this snake that was in this closet. And we caught the snake and we had it in a bucket. Now in my backyard, I had a pond, and in that pond was a giant snapping turtle. So I took the snake and I threw it into there, and before he even hit the ground, well, hit the water properly, the snapping turtle had him by the head and ripped him apart. And so the awkward situation was, number one, you have house guests, there's a snake in your house.
Wow.
Awkward, and then awkward for the snake is that he got his head bitten off by a turtle. So yeah, that was that particular story.
What was it, a garter snake?
Yes, it was a garter snake. Not like the ones, because some of those garter snakes can be real aggressive.
Right.
This one wasn't that aggressive, but I've come across a couple that were really, really aggressive to the point that I just hit them with everything I had in order for them to expire. But normally, if it's just me alone, I'll just take them out and throw them out into the field and let them live. Right. But if my wife is involved, because she is scared of snakes and them coming back, they have to expire. They have to die.
Now, in those situations, do snakes come back?
They come back with a vengeance. I don't know if they come back reincarnate as a dog or a cat or something.
I ain't talking about after you kill them. I'm talking about like if you threw them into the field. Do they?
Yeah, I know. In my particular neighborhood, because we live in a farm area.
Yeah.
When it starts to get cold, snakes follow the mice. So wherever the mice go, the snakes go. And
gotcha.
So as long as you keep your house free of mice, the snakes and everything tend not to come back.
Right.
Now, if you're one of those people who like to keep stacks of wood up against your house, then yeah, the snakes might come back. I had a snake at my first house. I had a snake that used to live in a holly bush right by the front door, and every day he would sun himself on that holly bush, and year after year he would be there on that holly bush, and we never bothered him because as long as he was there, mice won't be around.
Right.
You know, but once it got cold, he might come in. Type of situation, you know.
Wow.
Have you had any weird animal stories to tell?
I only had one weird animal story that I found out that didn't really exist. That was the awkward part of it. I was out telling people so many years that I had a dog, and it's been told to me that I really never had a dog. So I don't know if that's awkward or I was confused or I need to go see a psychiatrist. I don't know. But for many years, I thought I had a dog, and then I thought my dad had taken the dog away. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe I wanted a dog, and I used that as the reason why I didn't have one. But yeah, that was awkward because it wasn't until recent that I really, I think I was telling a story at home or something. I don't know. And I found out I really never had a dog.
Oh, wow.
So I'm still working on that one.
Well, let me tell you an awkward situation. This one happened with my father. Went to Chicago. My whole family, my sister, my sister lived in Chicago. So it was me, my dad, my father, my daughter. I don't think my son was born yet, or maybe he hadn't come yet. But anyway, we went to Chicago, and my sister treated us to this thing called Universal
Circus.
The circus, right? And so we went to the event, and we had a blast. Oh my goodness! If you've never been to it, it's an all-black circus, and it was awesome. So anyway, as we were coming out, my sister realized she did not have her car keys. Mm-hmm. So she was like, man, oh man, how are we ever going to get home? Mm-hmm. So my dad, being, he was slightly impatient at that point in time. So he's a problem solver. And so he takes off walking. And she was like, where is he going? This is Chicago. It's not a safe part of town. Like, where is he going? So he takes off walking. So my sister and I were like, well, you know what? It'll keep him busy. Let's try and figure out what we're going to do. Let's see if we can find some cops or something. And so we're looking around. My sister is digging in her purse, can't find her keys or anything. And so my dad takes off down the block looking for somebody. And he comes up and he walks right by us. He was like, "Did you find anything? Have you found a solution?" No. So he takes off walking again. So in the meantime, a cop pulls up and we're like, "Excuse me, Mr. Officer, we're locked in the car." And he was like, "So what do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Well, do you have one of the, every time
Right.
the cop show, they have one of them things where you can jimmy the lock and open the door." He was like, "You know what? I don't have one, but my buddy has one. Let me call him." So he calls him, but he's like, "Hold up, before I call him, are you all in for a little bit of fun?" I was like, "What kind of fun are you talking about?" He was like, "Well, he's a little hot. He's a little hot. He's a rookie,
Right.
and he's a little hot. He gets excited really fast." And he was like, "Well, play along." So he gave out a code, which meant he needs help.
Right.
Right? So this cop pulls up, car screeching, and he hops out the car. "What's going on here?" So he's all hyped and stuff. And so we're a little nervous because we black.
Right.
The cop is white and his buddy is white. So he has his gun all out and he's like, "What's going on?" And his friend is laughing. So he was like, "What's going on here?" And he's like, "Why are you laughing? Is something going on?" And he's like, "No." And so this cop is getting all hyper. So finally he busts out laughing some more. He was like, "We just wanted to see how you're going to react to this. These guys are being locked. They're locked out their car and they're trying to, So he pulls out his Jimmy locker. So while he's doing that, my sister calls me over. She was like, "Yeah, I checked in this compartment right here and I found my spare key." But these guys are out there struggling at this point in time. So she was like, "So what do I do? Should I say, 'Oh, look, I just found my key,' or should we just let them suffer through it?" I said, "Well, give them a couple more minutes to see if they get through it. And if they don't, then you just say, 'Oh, look what I found.'"
You start out with you in for a little game, a little fun.
So anyway, so after a while, we're like, she was like, "Oh, look, sorry for the inconvenience, cops. Look what I found. This is my spare key. It was all the way down," and she's saying it like a script. "It was all the way down in the bottom of my bag." So the cops are like, "Oh, thank God, man, because we couldn't get this done at all."
What in the world?
So they up and left. So by the time all this happened, here comes my dad. Are we done yet? We're like,
hilarious.
So anyway, so the joke ever since then, or the awkward situation, is like, what did he expect to accomplish by just darting back and forth without even doing anything?
Praying for Jericho's waterfall.
Yeah. But so that was an awkward situation right there, because number one, she did have her key. Number two, the cops could not open the door even with the training that they got. And then number three, we almost got shot by this over anxious or overzealous cop.
If that had been that, you went probably like in the 90s. No,
yeah,
2000s,
in the 90s.
early
Definitely
90s.
In 2020s.
Yeah, you couldn't get He'd have come out blasting first. Not that I don't love my friends in blue, but the world we living in now, they don't even play them games no more.
Oh yeah. So those are some awkward situations that I've had. Now let me ask you a question: have you ever been in someone's house and the way it was decorated, or the way that it smelled, or anything about the house was a little weird or off-putting?
I mean, I've been in several houses, and it depends on the age of the person. You're gonna get different smells, right? So for the older age, a lot of mothball smells.
I caught myself thinking about mothballs the other day. I'm like, man, maybe I should put some mothballs in my clothes. And I was like, how old am I?
Listen. So you get the mothballs, and then you get those the incense, right?
Yeah.
You get the incense. I've been there. Mothballs, incense, and I'm trying to think of what other one. And then years ago, my gosh, years ago, I don't even know what spray they even term it, but I'll just say roach spray. I listen.
Makes you scared to sit down.
Shoot, forget that. Make you scared to stand up. You like I'll stand outside, but yeah, those are the normal scents that you kind of pick up. Depending on, like I said, age and area. But yeah, what about you?
No, I haven't, but I have a story to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
In Trinidad is a rainforest Caribbean island, right? And I went to college there when I was 16. And one of the things that I came across was, you know how they have those roaches that are about this big, right? Well, in Trinidad, they have the ones that are about this long, and the wings are actually the color of your fingernail. Well, one day I was sitting down by the girls' dorm talking to this girl. Actually, it was a night, and I heard, and this roach came and it flew and it landed on the chair beside where the girl that I was talking to was. Now I'm 16 years old. She jumps, she screams. I wanted to jump and scream, but I was trying to impress her. So I knocked it I had a paper in my hand. I knocked it onto the floor and I stepped on it with my right shoe.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at her and I said, "Hey, I got you. It's good." So I go back and I sit down next to her. But I got my eye on that rope. So I'm talking to her, and out the corner of my eye, I see this thing get up shaped like this. And then I heard, and it flew up. I was done. I was like, what the world?
Listen.
I was like, that's a gangster, boy.
Them roaches were here before we got here and gonna be here after we done. They don't play. They don't multiply. I mean, they don't die. They multiply.
Oh shoot! They said the roaches could live for weeks without their head, man. Like, what the world kind of foolishness is that? They said they die of starvation, not because you take their head off,
right?
Because they ain't got no food.
Yep.
That is crazy, man. So that's my awkward situation with an animal. Now I saw my dad karate chop this dog one time. We went to a friend's house and the neighbor's dog attacked us. I stood behind my dad. My dad did like this. As the dog was jumping up into the air to bite my father, my dad did this. Wham! And cut it. I mean, just hit it right on the top of the nose. That dog took off crying. It took off crying, man. I was like, wow. He's a ninja. My dad could do no wrong after that day because I was like 7, I think. And he karate chopped the dog, man. And it stayed in my mind for a long time. I'm like, man, that's gangster. Right. Until I saw that is actually a way. Like, dog noses are so sensitive that if you hit them on their nose, it really jacks them up.
It changed their lives.
Oh, yeah. Totally changed their lives, man.
Wow. Listen, man. What takeaways do you have?
Well, look, the takeaway I have is this. Listen, if you got stories that can rival our stories for today, you need to give us a taste and sample. And maybe one day we'll be able to tell your story about the awkward situation that happened to you. But to be honest with you, since as a life coach, one of the things I want to tell you is this: embrace the differences in life, embrace the difficult things and the weird things that happen to you because they make you who you are. And once you get over it, you can laugh about it all the time. And so don't take life so seriously. Take the good and the bad, learn what you can, move forward, and learn to tell a story and turn all your difficult situations into things that you can laugh at later. Right. And the best way to laugh at difficult things is to overcome them so you can look at them differently and see what was there to learn from it.
Wow. No, you really summed it up, man. I don't even have words. Well, you know what? I might as well sum something up here tonight. Listen, Ziggy, he really summed it up, but I like the way he said embrace the differences. Because you run into so many different situations, so many different people, so many different relationships you have. You run into all of these things, and he said to embrace them. I'm going to go a little differently. I'm going to say when you run into somebody that has a different viewpoint, and run into somebody who has a different outlook, remind them that everything's going to be okay. Okay, that we don't have to be alike, that I can have my view, you can have your view, and we can still live in harmony. You know what I mean? Don't let our awkward situations determine how our relationship or friendship or companionship or co-workership or classmateship, I'm using all ship, on how that's going to turn out. Because, we're living now in an age where if I'm on one side and you're on the other side, we can't even look at each other. We can't conversate. We can't do nothing. It's all about the votes. Keyword, the votes. You know what I mean? So embrace, as he said, embrace the difference and find a little something in there that you can laugh about. I mean, I'm looking.
Really, you looking at me and laughing? You better not. You're not right, man. Man, you stump your toe twice tonight.
Listen, man, I couldn't even hold it. I couldn't even listen. I got that. Listen, that guy on TikTok, he always does. Listen, now that I done started taking after him. I hope he don't sue us. But anyway, yeah. So I really enjoyed this show tonight because it's definitely we need that moment to just talk about awkward situations outside of our normal theme and just opens us up for some good stuff. So yeah, man. So I really enjoyed the show this evening.
I did too.
Ziggy always comes with some things that are just off the rocker. So it's good. So anyway, as I stated at the beginning of the program, Ziggy, I wanted to promote the person Alan who interviewed us on his show. His show is Henry's House Media Productions. If you go to YouTube, check him out. Look up the episode. It says Awkward Situations Interview. That's with me and Ziggy. Check it out. Then check out some of his other programs as well. Go ahead and subscribe. Tell somebody about it. But Henry's House Media Productions, we were interviewed by him.
And we had a blast, man.
We had a blast.
We had fun, man.
Awesome. It was awesome, awesome. So check that out. With that being said, hey, Ziggy, man, I'm your boy, Jay Tross. That's my boy, Ziggy. And we out.
Peace.